Among the Hindus and among the Buddhists, this view of the real identity of a human being has always been known, at least by a very influential minority. The central doctrine of the Hindu way of life, I call it that rather than a religion, is in Sanskrit tattvamasi. You're it. To put it in a kind of colloquial way. You're it. And it is the which than which there is no whicher, which they call the Brahman, or the Atman with a capital A, meaning the self. You are only just kidding that you're just poor little me. See, the function of a guru, that is to say a spiritual teacher in India, is to give you a funny look in the eye. Because you come to him and say, Mr. Guru, I have problems. I suffer and it's a mess and I can't control my mind and I'm miserable and depressed and so on. And he gives you a funny look. And you feel a bit nervous about the way he looks at you. Because he's reading your thoughts. And this man is a great magician. He can read everything that's in you. He knows right down into your unconscious, and you know all the dreadful things you've thought, and all the awful desires you have, and you are rather embarrassed that this man looks right through you and sees them all. But that's not what he's looking at. He's giving you a funny look for quite another reason altogether. Because he sees in you the Brahman, the Godhead, just claiming it's poor little me. And he's going to eventually, by all sorts of subtle techniques that are called in Sanskrit upaya, that in politics means chicanery, and in spiritual education means skillful pedagogy. He is going to try and kid you back into realizing who you really are. And that's why he gives you a funny look. And why he seems to see right through you. As if to say, Shiva, oh boy, don't kid me. I know who you are. But you're coming on beautifully in this act. That you're somebody else altogether. And I congratulate you. You're doing a wonderful job. Playing this part, which you call the person. My person. You know, a person is a fake. The word means a mask. So if you read books on how to be a real person, you're reading books on how to be a genuine fake. The word persona, as you know, means a mask worn in Greco-Roman drama. So if you come on to the Guru and say, well, he asks you who you are, Sri Ramana Maharshi, when anybody came to him and they said to him, as people do, who was I in my last incarnation? Or will I be reincarnated again? He always replied, who's asking the question?
I remember once calling one of the big names in the euphulogist movement and asked him what was really behind all of this stuff, and he's told me to study theosophy. Well, at that particular time, I had no idea what he meant, but after years of research, I do now. But let's get a better understanding of something that's going to play a major role in the coming New Age world religion, the mysteries, or mystery religions. I've covered it extensively on this broadcast, hours and hours and hours and hours. And I've given you extensive bibliographies, and I'm going to give you more. Mystery religions are defined by the New Columbia Encyclopedia, 4th edition, as, quote, in Greek and Roman religion, some important secret cults. Although the mystic rites were kept secret, it was known that they required elaborate initiations, including accepting occult knowledge and acting out a sacred drama. Since the mystery deities were associated primarily with fertility, many scholars believe that these cults were based on unrecorded primitive fertility rites, end quote. Henry Clausen, the former sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, 33rd degree, which is the Mother Council of World Freemasonry, is one who has also proclaimed this idea. In Emergence of the Mystical, written while he was the highest Mason in the land, he talks about the coming New Age and its relationship with the mysticism of Eastern religions. He states, quote, "Today we are at the threshold of a new era. All signs point to this fact. We look toward a transformation into a new age, using, however, the insight and wisdom of the ancient mystics. This new worldview is emerging because there has been a recent correlation between modern physics and the mysticism of Eastern religions." And that's from Henry C. Clausen, Emergence of the Mystical, the Supreme Council, 33rd Degree, Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Southern Jurisdiction, 1981, page 19. So before we continue, since this is such an important part of his dogma and of this whole phenomenon altogether, let's make sure that you understand exactly what this term mysticism means. And according to the New Columbia Encyclopedia, mysticism is, quote, "the practice of magic, occultism, or the esoteric. Included in the mystic tradition were the Hermetic philosophers and the alchemists," end quote. A mystic is, quote, "one who practices mysticism, in effect magic, occultism, witchcraft," end quote. Now don't get hung up on all of these things, because I'm going to tell you that what you believe that these words mean is not necessarily their meaning at all. For instance, magic is the art of illusion. Plain and simple. It's as clear as that. Magic is the art of illusion.
The next point, perhaps, that we will want to mention or think about is the relationship between these chakras and the seals of the Book of Revelation. The 7 seals of Revelation certainly bear a striking symbolic content, where in each case, as the seal is opened, a vision or apocalyptical experience is unfolded. The chakras can be explored only by mind, can be visualized only by mental concentration, can be known and experienced only by mental reflex. Therefore, in the chakras, you have a very rarefied group of mental organs arising within the substance of man's mental existence. And as a result of that, being subject to all conditioning that is possible to a mental structure or form in nature. Now, here is one of the problems that immediately presents itself on this basis. The mind being used for the visualization of these spinal mandala, which is what they actually are, engenders in consciousness the symbolic shape. This shape is fixed by tradition. The shape of this chakra and its content, the numerous tantric symbols included in it, symbols which are derived from the various levels of the Hindu religion and have been specialized in the yoga tantric system. These symbols are internally visualized as existing. Perhaps the beginner or the novice works from a physical chart which shows these forms, with which he becomes mentally and psychologically familiar. The purpose that he is attempting to achieve is, therefore, to release the energy symbolically represented by this form. By releasing the energy, what he is actually trying to do, whether he realizes or not, is to reverse the process of mental control and restore what might be termed the pure energy, which has been blocked by mental phenomena. Therefore, these 7 seals represent the symbols of 7 blockages. 7 transitory conditions set up by the sensory reflexes of man, resulting in 7 basic mistakes. These 7 basic mistakes stand between the individual and the, we will say, the intimate, immediate realization of the life power of the heart. To overcome these, therefore, he must overcome the instruments of phenomena which he has set up. He is therefore actually attempting to lead the life energy out of the subterranean region in which it has become involved, carry it back again to its own true and proper nature by dissolving one by one the fixations of mind by which this energy is held imprisoned, or is held in a highly specialized process. To do this, of course, the Tantra process must achieve the victory of right use over wrong use. That is its primary function. Therefore, the processes of the 7 so-called steps must be redeemed from false use. True use must be established. True use must come through realization. And here, within the structure of mind, we find a contrary system established by means of which mind gradually overcomes itself. It is all part of the same process, inasmuch as your yogic system must end in samadhi. It must end in the Buddhist nirvana. It must end in the total release of true consciousness from the ego fixation. This is represented in the Eastern system by the final victory of Atman, the universal, the one which alone is real, and man's ability to achieve union, which is the true meaning of the word yoga. Union with the infinite, union with that which is unconditioned. Therefore, it is not right to assume that the chakras can be anything more nor less than the 7 steps for attaining victory over illusion.
Of light took her bow, and then she turned to go. The Prince of Peace embraced the gloom and walked the night alone. Dancing in the dark night, seem to have more. The Dark Lord rides in force tonight, and time will tell us all. I hear Horace's thunder down in the valley below. I'm waiting for the angels of Babylon, waiting for the eastern glow. The apples are in the valley.